The Witch's Bedtime Tale. The fascination of the eerie, weird, blood-chilling tales told by old Nancy, Witch of Salem, and Satan, her wise black cat. They are waiting for you now.
Welcome to my humble abode. So you've come to hear another tale of mine, did ye? That's fine. I got plenty of stories to tell you. Even Satan knows it's time for a bedtime story, he does. I think it's my birthday today. Not sure how old I be, but if I've been telling stories for 100 years, then I can't be a young girl, can I? Who be the president when I was a little girl? Why, old Andy Jackson was. Now you see him on the $20 bill, you do. I've had enough birthdays. Let's get down to business. Turn them lights down and pull up to the fire. Gaze into the embers and soon you'll see a young couple with a young daughter and a newborn baby boy living out in the country in a big old country farmhouse. The young man's about to find out his wife's been keeping a secret. Our story tonight is called Cubs. Yes, sir, Cubs.
Mr. Cole, come in, sit down.
Hello, Dr. Siegel. Good to finally be here. Please, call me Travis.
Well, you sounded quite distressed in our phone calls. You said you felt sure I wouldn't be able to help you, but you needed to talk to someone.
I don't know what you'd call it. Distressed works, I guess. I couldn't tell any of my friends, family, co-workers. I thought a trained professional would be my best bet.
Did you consider a priest? They're a lot cheaper than I am.
It crossed my mind, but I'm not religious. I have no sins to confess, and since I don't believe in heaven or hell, any confessing of any wrongdoing would be a waste of time. Who knows, I may still seek one out to tell my troubles to, if for no other reason, just to see their reaction.
Are you here to see my reaction, Travis?
If you have any sort of rational mind, then your reaction to what I tell you will be that I'm either insane or lying.
Well, I guess then I will need to hear what you have to say. Before we begin, I wish to ask you again, as I did on the phone, if you committed any crime.
You sound nervous, Dr. Siegel. No, I assure you I have committed no crime.
I'm sorry to have brought it up again, but you seem, well, as I said, distressed. And if it had been with guilt over some heinous crime, I would report it to the police, but there's a patient-doctor confidentiality, but I draw the line when it comes to crime.
What if I told you I smoke marijuana? That's a crime? Would you report me?
I said heinous crime, and that hardly qualifies.
Well, let me begin my tale. Feel free to interrupt with any vital questions you need to ask.
I will be sure to do so. Would you care to lay down? Some people find it more comfortable, helpful in relating what's on their minds.
I don't think I need any aid in relating what's on my mind. I'll never forget it if I live to 100. I met my wife Sarah when I was 23 and she was just 16. I didn't think she'd ever date me, never mind marry me. Sarah was young, intelligent, and beautiful. She could have had any guy she wanted, so when she showed interest in me, I was surprised and thought it would never last. But she seemed to love me. With her mother's blessing, we got married soon after she turned 18. Since meeting Sarah, my writing career had gone well enough that we could have managed fine. Sarah also worked part-time here and there, doing various jobs as she was multi-talented. She was smart, athletic, and had a desire to win, again making me wonder why she'd settle for me.
Did you worry about marrying her so young?
Worry? Not really. I figured she'd outgrow me, get bored of me, realize she could do better, and want a divorce after a few years. Sure. I didn't worry about it. I kinda sort of expected it.
Travis, aren't you here because Sarah did leave you?
She did. And I expected her to leave me, and yes, it would have bothered me, but I'd have been okay and able to move on with my life, I think, and, well, it's the way she left me. It's like finding out something amazing, something fantastic, and out of mythology and folklore is real, but if you tell anyone, they think you're a victim of addictions or madness. No, I could never look the same way at someone who would claim to have seen a ghost, Bigfoot, or UFOs, aliens. What would you say to someone who told you that they had been abducted by little green men, Dr. Siegel?
You're saying you would have found him unbelievable before, but now your experience would suggest otherwise. I have not seen many things, and yet I do not discount them entirely for never having known of them.
The only thing so often lacking is evidence. Seeing is believing. So many people believe what they're told, and when they see it, can't accept it because they are conditioned their minds against such things. I cannot show you what my eyes saw and what my mind is certain of. Sarah told me, and I could not believe it. She finally had to show it to me. Let me tell you a little more information about Sarah and what happened. Her father had died some time ago in an accident. I didn't press any into his death. There was a grandmother, but no grandfather. I didn't inquire into his death either, and assumed old age most likely. Sarah had an Aunt Dorothy, who had a single daughter and no husband. So, besides the men that my sister-in-laws were dating, there were no men in Sarah's family.
Was there significance to that?
I didn't think so at the time, but yes. With all the facts, there was plenty of significance to it. So despite being able to afford a place, Sarah and I were given a large old country manor as a wedding gift by her mother. Had been in the family for ages. Nobody had lived there for years. Sarah thought I should check it out before saying no to it. I admit I didn't really want to move out of town, but I wasn't going to say no. A free house can be a good thing. When I did see it, I loved it. Was the perfect secluded place to write. Had character and history, space and scenery, privacy. Best of all, it was free. It was then I learned a little more about her family. They had a long history. They had money which went back hundreds of years, apparently. What do you think? No questions, Doc?
You seem to be telling me what you want me to know. In order to understand why she left, we need to understand her family, her father, her grandfather, her uncle's odd absence.
That's a story, a puzzle, several pieces that fit together to present a whole.
Mr. Cole, what type of writer are you?
I don't know. I write short stories, poems, children's books, an online blog. I freelance a lot with script writing and such. Why?
I'm trying to learn how your mind works. I can tell you're a storyteller.
I can spin a yarn. What I'm telling you is fact, every word, so... My writing career did well there. I found the property and marriage to Sarah inspiring. She got pregnant and there was joy. Baby Elizabeth Erin Cole was born, and I couldn't have been happier. My first book was published. I dedicated it to Sarah and Elizabeth. Life continued blissfully. One doesn't ask questions when things are good. Writing and family kept me happily oblivious to certain things.
Things like...
Like Sarah calling our daughter a cub. I thought nothing of it. Just a cute name like Man Cub from Jungle Book. I even started to call her our cub for some reason, maybe thinking of us like a family of 3 bears in our home in the woods. Things like how, on some nights, I had much deeper and longer sleeps than others. I see you trying to put those few pieces of the puzzle into place. I'll continue and let you see how it fits. Then Sarah got pregnant a second time. Even during pregnancy, she seemed to change. We hadn't an ultrasound for the first pregnancy and didn't for the second, yet she seemed inclined to think it was a boy. How perfect, I thought, a girl and a boy. Wonderful wife, career going well. Sarah was right, and it was a boy. We named him Evan Jefferson Cole. She changed after that, immediately. My sweet, charming Sarah became hostile towards me and overly protective of the children, keeping me at a distance to her and them. Her behaviors worried me. I spoke of it with the doctor and her mother and sisters, my family, everyone. Said it was sometimes normal for intense mood swings and hormone imbalances after giving birth. Not always, but sometimes. I did what I could and tried to help Sarah through any trouble she might be experiencing, but she didn't want to talk about it. One night we got in a fight. The children were asleep in a nearby room. Sarah, I wish you'd tell me what you're thinking and feeling, 'cause I'm at a loss.
I'm thinking this marriage is over. I can't do this anymore. You have to leave.
What do you mean, leave? You want a divorce?
Divorce and full custody of the kids. It's for the best.
Why? What's brought this on all of a sudden?
It hasn't been all of a sudden. It's always been this way. We weren't meant to live happily ever after.
Okay, if you don't love me, we can separate. Get a divorce even, but we're sharing custody of the kids. They're my children too.
If you knew how much they will never be your children, you'd pack up and leave tonight. You wouldn't ask a question or look back. You keep your bank account and there will be plenty of money for you to live comfortably for a long time. You can start a new life.
You know that sounds crazy, right? Sarah, I wouldn't give up those kids for any money. I don't want to give up on us either. Maybe we should go to sleep and discuss it further when we're thinking more clearly.
Clearly? My thoughts are clear, dear husband. There is nothing to discuss. I am giving you a choice. You leave me and my cubs alone.
How would I even begin to explain to anyone I know that my wife and children just left, and I had nothing to do with them at all? I couldn't tell them it. I couldn't live with it. Why would you ask me to do such a thing?
Do you value your life so little you could not suffer such a loss? Then, Travis, you are weaker than I thought.
You've been going for those walks in the woods lately, taking the babies with you, refusing to allow me along? I love you, Sarah, and have been patient, but no, I'm not going to let you take the children away from me. Totally, never.
It's only because I care about you that this is so difficult. You want to know my family secret, Travis? You want to know why you can't be part of your children's lives? Why none of the fathers in my family could be? Yes, think about it, Travis. Think how strange it is my father is dead, my grandfather. If you didn't know, my uncles are dead as well. And I'm sure my mother, grandmother, aunts may have cared for them a little, a lot. But in the end, they killed them. I don't want to kill you, Travis. I don't.
What? Sarah, are you mad? They couldn't have all been murdered. How'd they get away with all the deaths?
Oh, Travis, murder can be done so easily for those with the nature for it. And oh, the women in my family have that nature.
You're all psychotic killers?
No. We're werewolves.
Sarah, there's no such things. Vampires, werewolves, you know they're not real.
I can't say anything about vampires, but werewolves are real. Your 2 children are werewolves. Evan is a very special one. You see, a male werewolf is born only once every 100 years, maybe 1,000, who knows. In our family line, it's been a long time since one has been born. For some reason, females just tend to be far more prevalent. With Evan's birth, our clan will become strong. It may unite several clans. Evan will be sought after by werewolf women across the country, perhaps the world.
So you turn into a werewolf on full moons.
That's true. Something about the power of a full moon. Even cloudy weather doesn't matter.
I've known you for many years. Why haven't I noticed?
You miss so much in your blissful ignorance. If you could recount every full moon, you'd realize we either haven't been together or you've been asleep early.
And slept in late. You drugged me.
A mild sedative, over the counter, safe. On those nights leading up to a full moon, don't you recall making love? You yourself often called it animalistic and wild. I wore you out, sweetie, and you got a well-earned rest, while I got a well-earned release.
Becoming some wolf woman and killing wild animals?
I've decided to tell you everything, so no sense sparing the details. No, Travis, we become full wolves. We have part of our human mind, but we're acting more on animal instinct. It's a fine personal mix. And who do we kill? Usually men. It's easy for my mother and aunt to pick up stray men who are looking for a woman. They take them for a drive out into the country and, well, we meet up and dispose of them. If they are ever found, it's a wolf attack, and that's all. I'm sure you've heard of a wolf attack around these parts.
Sarah, this is fantastic tale. I can't explain the lack of males in your family or why you may have drugged me. Maybe it's all part of some mental illness you're suffering. We'll find you help you need. I love you and I hope you're making this up, but if you believe this, I'm sure we can find help for you, love.
You will not believe until you see with your own eyes, will you? There is a full moon in less than a week's time. Then you will see it is true, and why no matter how much you may want it, even if I may want it, it would never work.
Your wife claimed to be a werewolf.
It was a strange night, but for the next few days leading up to the full moon, Sarah had become more of her old self. The hostility seemed to dissipate, and I enjoyed time with Elizabeth and, for the first time, Evan, my new son. I began to hope the madness of her werewolf talk had gone, and life would return to normal. I was mistaken.
Have you enjoyed the time with the children these past days, Travis?
Yes, Sarah, I have. And with you, though, you're still a little distant from me.
After the full moon, it will be a greater distance. I thought I should give you a little time with the children.
Not that nonsense about being a werewolf. The children are not werewolves.
They are, husband, they are. They won't begin transformations till they're teens, but even they will know they're different before then. They would resent you, consider you weak, deny you as their father, even kill you if you irritated them too much.
Stop this insanity. Stop talking. I had hoped you'd speak no more of such nonsense. I begin to fear for your mental health, Sarah. Sarah, what's come over you? Your grip on me is like steel.
You've had your last time with my cubs, Travis. You will see me once more before the full moon and then never again. You may search all you like. We will be ghosts, howls on the breeze.
They're my children as well, Sarah. I awoke Dr. Siegel, locked in a room in the basement. There was no window, a solid door locked from the outside, a pillow and blanket on the floor. Sarah had left a plate of fruit for me and several bottles of water. A simple plastic bucket sat near the door, which I guessed was for use as a toilet. I couldn't believe it. She'd knocked me out. I could still feel her hands gripping me firmly against the wall. I admit I was scared, but still certain my dear wife to be suffering from a mental illness like you would someone who claims they've seen Bigfoot or told you they had a friend ghost.
Was this the last full moon?
Second last. You already know part of the conclusion to the story, but let me finish for you. I was stuck in that room for only a day and a half. Late afternoon, prior to the full moon, Sarah came and unlocked the door.
Come, husband, let us spend our last hours together.
The children?
Far away and safe. You will never see them again.
That's kidnapping.
Well, after I leave tonight, you can report it to the police. They will never find us. I'm sorry, Travis. I had a feeling you would be the one to give me a male cub. It's what every werewolf girl wants.
Maybe they should try breeding with a male wolf.
It's been tried. The results have been more like the half-man, half-wolf creatures common to fiction. They're undesirable. It is forbidden. Still, on occasion, it happens.
You know, this would be a good book.
Write it, dear husband. Anyone who knows you will think it's therapeutic writing, and it might be. I almost think it would be kinder to kill you. My family thinks I'm crazy not to. Still, they see my side, at least a little, and you did father the cub that may lead to a new period of growth for my kind.
So when the moon is out, you're going to turn into a wolf for me and run away?
Yes, dear Travis. You have been so kind to me. If I was human, then I'd be so happy living a normal life with you, even raising some human cubs. You deserved better, maybe, even if you will keep your life. I know you. It will not be easy for you, fragile human.
I can't tell you what I'm feeling or thinking right now.
Time is fleeting, so say what you would to me if it was the last time you could.
Oh, Sarah, you scare me. This behavior, this ranting, talk of our final goodbye. I thought you'd leave me, realize you could do better and just go off, and then we had kids and I thought, well, maybe this might last, but you knocked me out and locked me up for a day and a half? You've whisked away our children, you tell me? I still can't believe your monstrous claims, but I'm getting terrible feelings you're serious in your goodbyes.
Come and hold me one last time. Let us share a glass of wine and sit together, cuddle for a bit on the couch as if it was our first night together and we had a future to look forward to. Travis, it is almost time. I will think of you from time to time, and I hope you have a good life. Find a woman who can give you what you want.
I love you, Sarah.
I love you too, as much as I can. It's why you will be spared.
I didn't know what else to say. The moment felt surreal. I had lost myself in her presence, like I had so many times before, but ever aware of the growing lateness. I feared what I couldn't believe. She never let her firmness falter. She played it through to the last. What would she be like when she did not turn into a wolf like she believed she would? Wild rage, perhaps? I had to be prepared, as her strength had completely taken me by surprise the other night. She seemed different, a little. Her eyes again seemed to brighten in the dark, intensify in their golden color. Sarah leaned over and kissed me, gentle and tender, for a long moment, and then stood up. She wasn't wearing much but a light white dress, and it seemed to shine in the increasing darkness.
Goodbye.
She walked to the front door and outside onto the porch. I followed. She quickly walked down onto the grass and out into the moonlight, shining on the lawn. In her steps, she let the dress fall from her shoulders and stepped out of it. She lightly kicked her slip-on shoes off and was naked in the silvery light of the full moon. I stood there on the porch, mystified, and a little frightened at what played out before me. This girl I loved, my wife, the mother of my children, was acting so strangely I could not help but be frightened. She turned in the moonlight and looked at me. She was beautiful and sad to behold, standing there strong and naked in the moonlight. Then it happened. Her body trembled. It was short, but seemed like an earthquake had happened in her bones. Then it happened again, and she fell to the ground. The strength and beauty gone, replaced with a seizure. I nearly dashed for the phone to call 911, but did not move for fear and confusion. Then it happened quickly. Maybe not as quick as I recall, but too quick for my mind to comprehend at the time. Her beautiful, smooth skin became dark, covered in hair. Sarah's body changed shape, unnaturally, portions altered. She became a wolf. I am glad I could not see her face as it changed. It remained turned away from me. As I said, it seemed quick, and although it appeared painful, Sarah uttered no sound. There, in the moonlight, stood a magnificent female wolf. It faced me, raised its head, and looked in my eyes. It was a wolf, but I still saw and sensed Sarah. From the porch I stepped down and knelt before her. She walked towards me as I reached out my hand and ran it through soft, luxurious fur. I looked into the eyes of the woman whom I now loved more than ever. I knew she was lost to me. She licked a couple tears from my cheek, and then turned and ran across the lawn, stopped at the edge of the trees, and turned for a last look at me as I remained kneeling in tears. Then she was gone, like a silver ghost into the shadows of the night. I remained there for some time. From the distance, there came a howl of a wolf.
That was 2 months ago.
Yes. What do you think, Doctor?
Mr. Coe, I think you should write that book.
It's already written. Between my sadness, despair, confusion, and bewilderment, I've written it out the last 2 months.
Has it helped with their loss?
Not really, no.
Would you like to schedule more appointments to see me?
I don't think so, Doctor. You see, if this book gets published, no one will believe my wife and children were werewolves. And I can tell, looking at you, that neither do you.
I believe you think it's the truth, but as you said, how can one believe fully without evidence?
How true. I can't say I believe in ghosts or vampires or those things, but I'm telling you, Dr. Siegel, I'll go under hypnosis. I'll take a lie detector test. I'll take sodium pentothal. Even passing all those, I'm sure I'll be written off as a lunatic. My wife and kids, her mother and sisters, aunts and relatives, they're gone. The police would probably lock me up for all their murders if I reported it. I'm not going to. Nobody's going to. I know they won't find her. Like a ghost, she's gone.
I am terribly sorry about your loss, Mr. Cole. I would advise we have a few more sessions, but that is up to your discretion. I will be buying your books, though.
I know you can't afford it, Doctor. Don't be holding your breath for a 4th book any time soon. I haven't a clue what to write, and no one to dedicate them to. Sarah was right. It might have been kinder to kill me.
Well, that's the end of the story, Cubs. Wasn't scary enough for you, Satan? Well, not all my bedtime tales are scary. This one was one of my more romantic stories. Sort of like the tragic classic Romeo and Juliet, whose love could not be. Well, then I'll make sure there's more killing and blood for you in next week's tale. Now, though, it's time to say goodbye to our visitors. Sure they'll come visit us again next week. Pleasant dreams.
Tonight's story, Cubs, was written by Kevin Rimney. Our cast include Sheena McDonald, Kevin Rimney, Joe Kent. Inspired by The Witch's Tale by Alonzo Dean Cole. Copyright 2016, Kevin Rimney Productions.